Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and check out my little friend here. This is the Chaser 88. It has 1103 10,000 kV motors, and it's rocking a 2S Eachine battery. It's made by Eachine over at Banggood.com, so check them out in the link below. What a cool little micro. I have been wanting a brushless micro for probably 6 months now. I've watched other people do DIY builds, and they're super complicated, they're super tiny, and it takes a lot of patience to build these. So you're finally at the point where you don't have to build one. You can actually get a really decent one for the money. This is around $109 right now. Pretty amazing. I grabbed this and put it in a friend's hand the other day and told him the singularity is here. This is an amazing amount of technology packed into this little tiny guy. We have an F3 flight controller on here that has a USB port on the back, of course, and we can take this into Betaflight and we can change the settings. It already has LEDs and a buzzer on there as well. It has 2-inch DYS props. If you're looking for those, I'll tell you the number on those. Those are 2030s. If you're looking to get more of these, if you're going to order one of these. And the camera, super cool. It is an 800 TVL camera with a lot of channels, I believe 5 different bands, and we're looking at 40 channels on that VTX, so super cool. I did put a little bit of tilt in there for mine, and I put a zip tie around it because it seemed like it was going to fall out of the frame, and also the zip tie will hold it there. I also took some VHB and I stuck up underneath here to tilt that camera up just a tiny bit. When I first got this one, it was a little bit crooked, so I had to level it out quite a bit. Also, the receiver on this, I'm using a receiver that is compatible with FR Sky, and this is the AC800. You can get these on their website for about $10 and bind it up with your FR Sky Tyrannus Plus. So pretty cool. Now that I have that on there, I also have it zip tied on the side, and it has a roll bar over the top, which does protect it quite well. I did pretty much tweak my antenna a few times. I think the protection on the Aurora 90 might be a little better. And speaking of the Aurora 90, I have one sitting here next to me, so I'm going to go ahead and set that next to this one and show you just a little comparison of the two. Check that out. The Aurora 90 is built like a tank. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It should be a little bit heavier than the Chaser 88. So I'm looking for some interesting performance comparisons between the two, and I'll do that here on the channel for you at some point when we review the Aurora 90. But for now, I'm going to set that one to the side. Just wanted to show you some size relevance there. And then also I have a Shuriken 180 here, the original Shuriken 180, and look at the size difference of these two next to each other. So if this is your first quad, the Chaser 88, this would be a lot of fun for someone just getting into FPV. It doesn't really perform like a larger quad. Don't expect it to. It definitely flies like something smaller, and it doesn't quite have the power to catch itself, but it's way more powerful than something with brushed motors. So if you're graduating from something with brushed motors and clean flight or Betaflight to something with brushless motors, this is where it's at. Now let me move it over to the side again, and I'll put a tiny whoop in here just for fun. So that's my Inductrix FPV that I converted over to that rack and frame, and I'll hold them up for you guys so you can see a bird's eye view of the frames themselves. And look how much it's almost exactly the same size, just a little bigger, quite a bit heavier, of course, but you can fly this one indoors just like you can your tiny whoop, and you can also fly acro and all that cool stuff on this one. Way more power, but outside is where this one really shines. Anyone tells you it's an indoor quad, yes it is kinda, but not really. The fun is really outside with these little brushless micros. Now you also get in the box, you get some DYS 2030s. You can also order these on other people's websites. They have them all around the internet, but go ahead and look for those. Experiment with some different props. If you guys do experiment with different props and you find better props for this, let me know. In my crash tests, during my flight tests that you'll see a little later in this video, these props are quite durable. They actually bent and they bent back. You can see this one back here has a little dirt on it already. No problem. I didn't break any props during my flight test, and that's actually amazing for a micro, because a lot of the micro props kind of suck. Especially, I've heard bad news about the Aurora props breaking. Quadcopter 101 had one break mid-flight, so I'm interested to see how mine's going to perform. They do look quite a bit cheaper plastic than what's on here. This looks a lot more flexible and more durable. Now, another thing I want you guys to know about as far as brushless micros go, use a larger connector on your brushless micro. You're going to get way better performance out of it, because I experimented with this one when I first got it. I had more batteries that had little JST red connectors on there, and I switched it out to a JST for the first couple flights, and I wasn't super happy with the punch out or how much power it had to save itself when you're going in. So you want that extra power. Use this XT30 on here. I actually ordered a 5-pack of these off Amazon so I could convert all of my 2S 450 milliamp batteries over so I could fly it on this. I've heard of some people actually using XT60s. Now, I don't know how that would perform. It's not going to add a ton of extra weight, but it is rather large. However, you know, the XT30s seem to be perfect for this little brushless micro. Now, I know that the Aurora also has a JST on it. So see this connector here? That's a JST. What I think is better for brushless micros would be the XT30. And I think I'm getting better performance out of this micro with that one on there because I did fly it on both. Now, the website Banggood says that this can fly on 3S. This is a 2S. I would love to see how this flies on a 3S. If anybody out there in the internet land, if you flew yours on 3S, please let me know, because I don't want to really risk it on mine. I don't want to risk frying anything in here. It has this all-in-one ESC up in here, and it is a BL Heli 6 amp ESC underneath this stack. And this is pretty cool. If you look really, really close here, there's actually dampening rubber grommets underneath this stack, so it should help out this flight controller, because this little guy is twitchy, and with all those extra movements, you're going to need a pretty good PID tune on here. So I'm giving you guys some PIDs that I found on the internet, and I'll show them to you in the Betaflight setup. So let's go ahead, let's hop into Betaflight, and let's hook this little guy up, and I'll show you my settings that I have for a little Chaser 88. Now, we're about to hook it up to Betaflight, but I wanted to show you something else. The Aurora USB port is actually inside here, and you cannot get a USB cable in there. You have to take a couple of bolts off here, and you have to do something like this to get to the Aurora. You have to tilt that forward and then plug in your micro USB port, just like that. And that's kind of a pain in the butt that I have to undo those screws every single time. And you know, if I forget to put those on, that wouldn't be good. Now, the cool thing about the Chaser 88 is it's right there on the back, and I can go ahead and plug that in. Okay, so now that I'm inside Betaflight, I can check my orientations like we always do on the channel before you do your first flight. Make sure that left is left and right is right, forward and back. Everything looks good there. If you need to reset the accelerometer, you can do that. You can calibrate it there. Let's go down to ports, and this one's set up with UART1 checked and Serial RX on UART3, because that's where the little receiver connector comes out of the side of the quad here. Now, you're going to have to provide your own receiver on this, and it works with Spectrum, it works with any type of SBUS or PPM receiver. So we'll go into the configuration, check this out, D-Shot 600 on here. We are running the newest ESC protocol on this little micro, and I haven't seen it on even some of the bigger ones lately that have been coming from the Chinese companies. So this is super cool that it has D-Shot on there. I do have motor stop checked, and I might go ahead and turn that off, and I'm going to save and reboot that. That means that my props are going to spin up when the quad is armed. That way it lets me know that it's armed. I won't make any mistakes with my throttle, hit it on accident. So we'll go down here a little bit. VBAT is set up, and minimum cell voltage to 2.8. maximum 4.3. The accelerometer is checked on, and the LED strip is checked on here. If black box is on, I'd turn that off unless you really use black box. Now let's go to Failsafe. As always, I have mine set to drop here. You can see that checked. If you need to follow along with this, if you're setting yours up, go ahead and save and reboot. Now, the most important screen on this one is the screen right here. Go ahead and make this full screen so you can see it, and look at the proportional, integral, and derivative here, and the super rates. Go ahead and copy all these numbers and put them into your quad, because my defaults have been changed to this, and now it flies a lot better. When I first started flying this, I'll be honest with you, it was twitching and moving around a little bit. Did not want to fly very good in stability mode, so or angle mode, so I'm not super excited about that. But after I changed and adjusted the PIDs right here, it's flying pretty darn good. So we'll go down to receiver, and I have that Acro, well, excuse me, I have that AC 800 on there, so you can get one of those if you'd like to. Now the modes I have set up here, I have an arm switch on my auxiliary 3. I have air mode all the way out to the 3rd switch position down. Now angle mode is going to be my first mode. That's going to be the switch position number 1. Switch position number 2 is going to be horizon, and acro and air mode are on number 3. So we'll go down to the CLI real quick, and I'll try to type in version and see which version's on here. So we got the Pico BLX 3.10, December 29th, 2016. Pretty awesome that this has the Pico BLX on it. Very, very nice F3 flight controller for micros, guys. Super nice. So let's go ahead and disconnect now from Betaflight. I'm all set and my battery's charged up. Let's go outside and do some flying together. Alright guys, we're back from the field, and the first flying test of the Chaser 88. Was it cool? Was it awesome? You're damn right it was. Would I tell you to get your hands off mine? Yes, I would. I am definitely keeping this one. This one's going to stay in my collection. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not giving it away. We're not doing a giveaway on the channel. I'm sorry, it's mine. I like this one a lot, so you're going to have to get your own. You can check that link out below and grab yourself a Chaser 88. It's worth it. 109 bucks, not bad, and it flies pretty cool. It doesn't fly like a 180 or a 200 or a 210 or a 250. It definitely flies like a micro, so it doesn't do big air maneuvers as easily as I'd like them to. But we're getting there, folks, and this is a lot of technology from the past 2 years and a lot of work from engineers to get to where we are right now, especially with this little 4-in-1 ESC, the Pico BLX on there. This dampening inside here, and if you look really closely, I don't know if any other reviewers noticed this, but you see this little bit of plastic underneath the motor right here? If you're super hardcore into FPV, you've been following the forums, you know that people are soft mounting their motors, and what that means is they're putting like a little piece of electrical tape, or they're putting heat shrink in between the motor and the frame, and what that does is that helps dampen the vibrations coming from the motor so that the flight controller operates a little better and has less vibration. Now it's going to make a much better flying quad, and out of the box this one already has soft mounted motors. How cool is that? That's actually pretty damn cool. So anyway, you guys, thanks again for watching my fun review of this Chaser 88. I have a lot of fun with this one, and I think you will too. So I'm Justin Davis, and guys, I'll see you on the next one.